So you got this interview with TMZ, and Dale Hughley is being questioned, and the subject of the American footballer who met up with Donald Trump at the White House, and also with his team as part of the tradition where they go and spend some time at the White House as an invited group, and also spent a little bit of time golfing with him. As you know, Donald Trump is a big fan of golf. That's how you could say lets his hair down, and he meets on the golf course with many influential people, and they hash it out. And I'm guessing a lot of big deals have probably been done over the decades on the golf course. So this footballer, African-American, for want of a better description, footballer, meets with Donald Trump, and he's been taking a whole whirl of heat from the pro-blacks and the race grifters alike, for the simple fact that he's gonna meet up with this guy. So you just watch the first part of this interview with TMZ, and we'll come back to some of the points I'm going to make after.
Has a certain lack of respect for black people, and he demonstrates it all the time. And I think any black man who goes, or black woman who goes to see him, has an air of shoe bootiness around them. They do. It's not shocking. It's shocking to me that a dude who would go see Trump dated a white girl that threw the N-word around. It's not shocking to me.
There is a difference between what we consider to be a difference of an opinion and somebody who's a fool. And D.L. Hughley don't have a difference of opinion when it comes to Donald Trump, Trump supporters, and black folks who are conservative. He is just a...
The sad fact is the time and energy and effort that's put into causing and creating division could equally be put into trying to promote something positive for the current and future generations, and creating pathways so people of differences can find common ground and build something a bit more workable, rather than constantly looking back into the past, comparing the past to now, and looking for you could say reasons to brew tensions. And another thing I would add is, every time I hear this thing about erasing history and anything along those lines, I just find it baffling that anyone with any kind of level of intelligence can really think that Donald Trump or anybody, powerful or otherwise, can reach back into history, into people's minds, and erase anything. Because history is history. It's already been told. It's in people's heads. It's in the psyche. It's in the, what do they call it? The shared world mind, or whatever they describe it, the philosophers describe it as. And you can't really undo that kind of stuff. So it's a kind of a low IQ way of thinking. And I see it as propaganda to fearmonger. Anytime you hear that story being told about, oh, so-and-so's trying to erase history. So the interview with Dale Hughley and TMZ, I just think is quite revealing. And the fact that he could go after this footballer for his individual choices as a human, being with preferences, choosing to marry someone from a different culture, as many do. This is a naturally occurring behavior. So to go after the guy and say that he has no understanding of or care for what other people in his ethnic group are going through, I don't think it really displays that. Just get back into this video.
In the past, I felt like D.L. Hughley was probably one of the greatest comedians. I grew up listening to D.L. Hughley, and to see him fall and bump his head and say the craziest, most disrespectful, racist things that I've heard anybody who's a celebrity say is disheartening to me. And I'm saying this with all honesty and due diligence.
I would just like to take a little pause for our video sponsors today, which is smalldebts.co.uk. If you happen to be based in the UK and you have any kind of financial issues, being scammed, or whether it be a rent deposit you need to repatriate back to your account, from a landlord or estate agent, any kind of online financial tribulations, small debts, are the people who can take care of that for you. Look them up.
Struggling to get your security deposit back or dealing with unfair charges? At Small Debts, our tenant advocate service fights to get your money back. No stress, no hassle. Take control today. Visit smalldebts.co.uk and start your case now.
Right, let's get back into this video.
There is a difference between what we consider to be a difference of an opinion and somebody who's a fool. And D.L. Hughley don't have a difference of opinion when it comes to Donald Trump, Trump supporters, and black folks who are conservative. He is just a straight fool. Every single take that's opposed to Donald Trump, whether true or false, D.L. Hughley finds himself making that take. Now, I've been black my whole life. D.L. Hughley ain't more black than I am. Even though he may think he is, but he ain't. And I've been to the White House multiple times. I met Trump multiple times. And I can unequivocally say D.L. Hughley has lost his mind saying what he about to say. Roll the clip.
So 14 players said, I'm going to boycott this. Whose side are you on?
I think that it's not just political. What Donald Trump has done and is doing to black history is unsavory and is undeniable. Donald Trump is deliberately trying to erase black people's history for whatever quest. He's elevating Christopher Columbus again. So he deliberately is doing things to black people that isn't just political. And any black man that does it is going to obviously catch some level of heat. When a black person does it, I can when it's
Stop.
a black person, I can always tell what kind of black person.
Hold on. It's so many points. I got to stop in between because then I'm going to forget what he talked about at the beginning. Donald Trump is getting rid of black history. DL, where is your evidence? He's trying to elevate Christopher Columbus. Well, unless you smoking crack and you sleep on a rock, Christopher Columbus is a part of the black history that you're talking about. Because if they didn't come and settle here, and if black people wasn't brought over here to be slaves, some of them, because not every black person was a slave, but if black people weren't brought over here, there would be no story of African Americans. So elevating Christopher Columbus, and I'll tell you this, and people may get mad at me. I hate that my ancestors had to go through it, but I'm glad we over here. Come on, keep it real. I hate that the ancestors had to get beat over the head and treated so poorly in this country. But I'm glad we here. And since we here, we need to make the best of it so their death wasn't in vain. Because this joker and none of these other pro-black people are going to live anywhere else but America, which is a white country. Where are you going to live at? Europe, white country. Where are you going to live at? You going to go to Africa? Where are you going to go? Kenya? Botswana? Where are you going to go live at? Shut the front door.
Go after his wife for the fact that she recited lyrics that were, performed by Kanye, written and performed by Kanye West. So does that mean any non-black person who repeats lyrics that a black rapper has put out there in the world as a piece of music, they are displaying racism? Very strange way of thinking. Coming back to Donald Trump, though, it's the same old trope where most of what you see, if you go out into the world and view these things with your own eyes, are to the contrary, aside from what's being promoted by the race baiters and pro-blacks. It's not what you actually see when you go back over the decades, right to the present day, and observe Donald Trump's interactions with people of all kind of ethnicities. So it's food for thought. If you think differently or agree, leave your views in the comments and let me know what you think. Is it possible for black people to be racist? Do you think D.L. Hughley is displaying racism the way he's gone after Donald Trump and this footballer just for doing something that people do every day in the world? And also, do you think it's possible for anyone to erase history, powerful or otherwise? So let's get into it.
So right away, he a fool. He has no evidence that Donald Trump is getting rid of black history. It's the stupidest thing that anybody can ever say. Roll the clip.
I can always tell what they are.
Whoa. Wait, what does that mean?
Go back a little bit.
Saquon Barkley, he had heat.
Because he
when
just
a
said
black
something
person
racist.
does it, so he deliberately is doing things to black people that isn't just political. And any black man that does it is going to obviously catch some level of heat. When a black person does it, when it's a black person, I can always tell what kind of black person. I can always tell what they are.
Whoa. Wait, what does that mean, Dia?
Saquon Barkley, he had a girlfriend that threw around the N-word a lot and said she wasn't a gold digger and she wasn't messing with no broke N-words. He looks like that kind of guy that is indifferent to what black people go through.
Hold on. What DL is essentially saying is that he's a racist. He know what kind of black person you are based on the woman you with. So if you with a white woman, he think you ain't black enough. And let me tell you how ignorant this joke is. And every black person that think like this is ignorant. She must have, you hear what he said. She said she ain't messing with no broke. She ain't no gold digger. She ain't messing with no broke. You know what, right? Right away, I know that that's Kanye West's song. So DL, are you saying that she's a racist and she's bad for Saquon Barkley because she rapped to a Kanye West song? Is that what you saying to me? You ain't mad at Kanye West for saying the N-word, but the white person singing his song is the problem. Roll the clip.
It's just true. And I think I've noticed that to be consistent with a lot of black people who show up. They have a shoe booty affect to them.
But suppose I did not know that about his girlfriend. I mean, I know who his girlfriend is, but yeah.
So to me, he seems like the type of guy who would do that and be indifferent to what's happening to black people.
Can't you separate the honor from the person?
I think you can't squeeze honor out of the unhonorable. He's an unhonorable man who assaults black people, insults our history on a daily basis. We're not talking about somebody that we having a political disagreement. We're talking about somebody that's erasing Harriet Tubman and the Tuskegee Airmen and disbanding black history. There is a reason that the black.
How is he getting rid of Harriet Tubman? What is he saying? Black history isn't a statue. Black history is a mythological story. Black history is history. Harriet Tubman is a historical person who had a story and had a movement, which is the Underground Railroad, which white people helped her proliferate. You can't erase Harriet Tubman. I don't care what you think name you took off of something. The Underground Railroad is a historic event, movement that is bigger than just Harriet. What are you talking about, DL? Affirmative action. And what are you talking about? Donald Trump literally have put black people on the map. Let me just say this, and I'm going to let him finish. Donald Trump got more black votes than any Republican in the last, 20 years, 50 years. Donald Trump got more black votes. Donald Trump got more minority votes than anybody else. Who are these black people that think like this? That's rational. Roll the clip.
Black men, the black people who they have a certain affect about them, they have a certain way about them. They seem to be indifferent to what is happening to black people and to not care about it. And I think he seeks them out. I think that just like water seeks its own level, those kind of men and women easily show up at these events, and they're great for camera fodder, and they all have the same affect about it. I'm not shocked that he dated a white girl that said the N-word, threw the N-word around. He looks like the kind of guy that would do it, and the kind of guy who would do that wouldn't care about what happened to black people, and would think it's no big deal to go to a function where a dude assaults our history on a daily basis.
He didn't create this honor. This is a time-honored tradition.
He destroyed this honor. It's a time-honored tradition to have a peaceful transfer of power. It's a time-honored tradition to honor the Constitution. So let's Donald Trump, by any stretch of the imagination, it doesn't bear a semblance to any president we've ever had before. And now you're trying to act like he's presidential, and he is not.
Donald Trump, one of the things everybody says about him, and I know this somewhat to be true from personal experience back in the day, He listens to the last person in the room. And so I get it that you're probably not going to change a lot. But if you have the ability to, he reversed himself on tariffs because certain people quietly got in his ear. So if you're just out of the game, good luck to you for the next 4 years.
Yeah, do you really believe that somebody could change his perspective about the way he sees black people? He hasn't apologized for the Central Park 5 almost 40 years ago.
He brought up the Central Park 5. It's a myth. I'm surprised Trump don't sue people over this. Donald Trump pulled an article out in the paper, and I read it. It didn't even mention the Central Park 5 one time. I made a whole video about this, why these boys are guilty anyway. It's because of all this political, racial dynamic that they ended up getting off on technicalities. They all on YouTube right now. You can go look at the interviews. Not unless somebody took them down, because I watched the interviews. They're online, where each detective interviewing these boys that were a part of the Central Park 5. Really, only 4 of them went to jail. The 5th one didn't even go to jail. So I don't know why they keep calling it the 5. It was only 4 that went to jail. They all admitted to the crime, but they replaced the suspect with the other person. So they said, yeah, everybody did that. He did it, he did it, he did it, he did it, but I didn't do it. And then the next kid said, he did it, he did it, he did it, but I didn't do it. The next kid said, he did it, he did it, he did it. I acted like I was doing it, but I didn't really do it. Every kid indicted each other in a very uncoerced way, and that interview was so impartial, that's how they got convicted. They were making spontaneous utterances, meaning they were saying stuff the cops ain't even asking questions. The black cop that was a part of that said they were guilty. It's just because of technicality and somebody took the fall for them and all this racial tension, they let them out. They should be in prison for what they did to that girl. Now, let's move on. He said, Donald Trump, the Central Park 5, what he's doing for black people. Remember, what is her name? She was American Idol. People in the chat know what I'm talking about. She was an American Idol, and like her whole family got murdered at one time by like a cousin of hers. I want to say Jordan something, but I don't think it's somebody in the chat. Look at the chat. Somebody know what I'm talking about. It's at the tip of my tongue. What is her name? She's American Idol. When her family got murdered, and I don't remember all the details, but like it was horrific. I remember at the time thinking like it was a family member that like killed multiple family members of hers. Jennifer Hudson. That's it. Jennifer Hudson, black woman. Donald Trump, when he heard that situation, he got her on a jet, flew her out, and put her up in his hotel absolutely free. The things that he allegedly did for Nelson Mandela. Donald Trump had every HBCU president at the White House. He gave them permanent funding, which is more than Obama ever did. And he listened to them. He heard them out. Donald Trump had 120 black pastors at the White House. Donald Trump had and I said this wrong on Stephen A. Smith's show because I was talking too fast, but he had the urban engagement, or not urban engagement, but it was the opportunity zones. He also had the First Step Act, which is one of my family members benefited from it. I mean, what else do you want him to do? Donald Trump had black people in had a black man in his cabinet who was one of the most brilliant black people to ever live, just about, Ben Carson. You know, he's endorsed black candidates. I mean, what are y'all talking about? I just went to the UFC a couple weeks ago, and he was kind to my father, shook his hand, had a little quick conversation with him, took a picture with my dad. Well, like, what does his racist manifestation look like? He treats all black. He just golfed with Saquon Barkley. What do you mean? That's like saying a person hate dogs, but he own a bunch of dogs. That's like a person that say, I hate vegan food, but they only have vegan food in their refrigerator. Like, you can't say, do you hate it or do you not? You can't say a person is anti-hunting and they go hunting every weekend. You can't do that. You can't say a man is racist when he does so much for black people. And he has never, in the history of me knowing anything about him, done anything overtly racist. All of the rappers, all of their friends was up under his armpit before he ran for office. Oprah Winfrey under his armpit. Whoopi Goldberg, we got a clip of it. Whoopi Goldberg, we don't have it right now, but we'll put it in there. Whoopi Goldberg and the other lady kissing him on the cheek. Love you. Love you. We love you. This was like 2012. He got an award from the Push Rainbow Coalition with Jesse Jackson, them fraudulent self, where he was honored next to Rosa Parks for his efforts in the inner city. What the are you talking about? D.L. Hughley. Was that the end of his clip? No, there's still more. Let's play the rest of this clip before I lose my mind. Roll it.
He doesn't apologize.
He has not apologized, and he keeps saying that guilt. This is not conjecture. You can look it up. Donald Trump has a certain lack of respect for black people, and he demonstrates it all the time. And I think any black man who goes, or black woman who goes to see him, has an air of shoe bootiness around them. They do. It's not shocking. It's shocking to me that a dude who would go see Trump dated a white girl and threw the N-word around. It's not shocking to me. Just like you had the Republican congressman, it's not shocking. They look a certain way, they move a certain way, they act a certain way, and I think he senses that in that.
Hold on.
There's a reason.
Republican congressman. He's talking about Byron Donalds. Like, how is this not racism? Just imagine if a white man was on television talking about how white men who date black women are sellouts to the race and they bootlickers and they doing it. Imagine if a white man said that. Because you with a black woman or you a white woman with a black man, you a sellout. I know your type. You marry black men. Like, you know how crazy that would sound? You know how many people will drop your endorsement instantaneously? But when you black, you can be openly racist. Roll the clip.
While the other people who didn't go.
You may not be able to change his POV, but maybe you can change a policy or two. And who cares about the honest inward feelings if it's really about what he does?
INWARD.
I care very much that people are eroding black history and rolling us back to non-existent. I care that he's taking the protections away about the Voters' Rights Act. I care that he's erasing Harriet Tubman, Gigi Airman, and Jackie Robinson. I care that he's doing that. It's not a slight thing to me. And anybody who thinks it's a slight thing is probably as guilty of that as he is. Because you cannot dismiss, he is deliberately doing what he's doing to us. Deliberately. And any black dude who does it, there's a reason those other people didn't go, and there's a reason why a man like Saquon felt there was no big deal going. You can look at them; they look a certain way. They have a shoe booty air to them.
Oh man, I told Stephen A. on this show, and it would be very entertaining for D.L. Hughley to be on Stephen A.'s show against me. We'll be respectful, but this guy is so disingenuous. He's erasing Harriet Tubman. I haven't looked this up because we weren't prepared to go into this too deep. I know for a fact that what he's saying is stupid. If I look up right now, can somebody do that for me? If I look up right now, because I have no idea what he's talking about when it comes to eliminating Harriet Tubman. I saw that floating around somewhere and I'm like, I guarantee that's fake news. The Tuskegee Airmen and stuff. He getting rid of the Tuskegee Airmen. They have a whole museum with all of these artifacts in it. Booker T. Washington is a figure that they can never erase. You have the university, Tuskegee University. Tuskegee. You can't get rid of the university. What do you think? All right, let's look at this. It says the National Park Service initially removed a quote, an image of Harriet Tubman from the Underground Railroad page, but reversed the changes and restored the original content after facing public backlash. The edits were made amid broader discussions about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the government, with some interpretations to change the park on a broader push to display certain historical narratives. The National Park later clarified that the edit were not meant to diminish Tubman's legacy or the Park Service commitment to telling complex historical narratives. So I don't even know if Donald Trump had anything to do with this. I don't think he had anything to do with it. But anyway.
Well, I think that's quite an interesting video with TMZ, and also Officer Tatum kind of laid it out in a clear and factual way. For now, you've been listening to myself, OUIJ here at CornerSpeak, because we say be creative. I'm out.